Welcome back to... No, it's not Just Your Talks, Villa. So, yes, this is the first podcast YouTube chat, which is about my new journey into, hopefully, fitness, exercise, and a healthier life. Obviously, I've been talking about this now for a couple of weeks on the pod and on social media, and I think it has definitely sparked a conversation within quite a lot of my followers that are in similar position to me. And I found out, to be honest, a lot of people are going down the same route as me. So I think I quite fancied doing this and sort of sharing my journey. And hopefully, even if it helps one or two people, then I think it's worth doing. I will say at the start, a disclaimer, this is my choice to go down this route. It's not going to be everybody's choice, and I totally understand that. So if you do decide to go down this route, please get the right advice, go to the right places, don't go to anywhere dodgy, go to proper... I've been to a doctor's and done it all the right way. So I'm going to stop talking now and introduce somebody I'm really, really pleased to introduce. Dani is one of my oldest friends and one of my favourite people in the whole world. So I'll just say that. But I'm going to introduce her properly because this is will be her day job. In 2019, she quit her full-time 9-to-5 corporate job to become a personal trainer. After gaining the qualification in her spare time and at weekends, in 2020, when the lockdown hit, Danielle decided to pursue her dream career of working specifically in nutrition and started an undergraduate degree in sport and exercise nutrition. During her degree, she continued training clients until her husband welcomed their baby girl into the world, who is absolutely beautiful, I will say that, with Dani going on to achieve a first-class degree with honours and was asked to speak at graduation in front of thousands of people. Currently, she is working her way towards her master's degree in dietetics. Is that it?
That's the one.
Dietetics, to become a dietitian, and also in the process of getting her first article published in a journal, and hopes to get another 2 published by the end of her degree. How's that for an introduction, Dani?
That was lovely. Thank you.
Right. That's fine. Yes. So that's good. We've started off. So she knows what she's talking about, and I trust her implicitly. And she's been badgering me for, as I'm sure she'll tell everyone, a number of years now to try and get more healthier, do more exercise, and just become a bit fitter. So when I decided to go down this route, she was one of the first people I messaged and said, look, I'm doing this. She's not anti-Mounjaro, I'll say that now, and I'm sure she can explain for herself. But, she's cautious, I think. I think that's fair to say, isn't it, Dani? Would you agree?
Yeah, I'm not anti. I just think it's worth trying everything you possibly can beforehand, before going down a medication route. But for people like yourself, who it's undoing, a whole lifetime of habits, and you feel like you've tried everything, it's worth a try. If that's the thing that's going to, get you into this new healthier lifestyle, then great.
Yeah, and I think that's important to say, to be honest, from the start. For me, it's not a magic bullet. It's not something that I'm just going to... I want to take. I don't particularly want to take it, if I'm brutally honest, but doing all the research and being where I am with my sort of mental health and my weight and everything and my health, it becomes quite obvious to me that I just need some help. I've tried many, many diets over the years. I've tried fitness. I've tried lots and lots of things. None of them have ever worked, like many people. And the biggest thing is the food and the food noise. And we've had quite a few questions in, which we'll get to at the end. And one of them is about that. So we'll leave that for now. But I just feel like I need some help. And all of the information I'm getting from this is basically, my plan is a 6 to 12 month max on it. But in that time, I want to learn and get better at food, get better at diet, get better at exercise, and a place where I can come off it. And eventually I've learned all these good habits and all the bad habits, like you said, you're right, that I've had for 48 years. They're not going to disappear overnight, and they're not going to disappear in a few weeks. They're going to take months to reprogram. So by taking it and having that suppression, which is basically what it does, I'm hoping it'll give me the headspace to properly concentrate on diet, nutrition, which Danny's going to help me with, and fitness, to get myself to a place where, you know, I can be more healthier and be here longer, you know, for my kids and hopefully my future grandkids. So I think we're going to start with this, which you rightly say is probably the right way to start. Find the question now. Is how does weight loss and gain work? So we'll start there. So I'll leave that up to you now, Dan.
Well, I think you've popped up one of the.
That's the.
Cool. Yeah, I thought this was the best place to start because some people might not understand a calorie deficit yet. So very simply, the way that weight loss works is if you're eating more energy than your body is burning a day, then you're going to put on weight. And if you are eating less than you're burning a day, then you're going to lose weight. However, it's a lot more nuanced than that. And there's obviously a breakdown of how much we burn and doing what. So if you look at the picture that I've sent to you, this basically shows your total amount of calories that you burn in a day. So 100% of the calories that you burn a day is called total daily energy expenditure. And that's broken down into 4 sections. The biggest section, which I won't put a percentage on myself because, again, everyone is completely different, but more than likely, most people's BMR, which is their basal metabolic rate, will be over 50% of how many calories they're burning a day. Basal metabolic rate is basically how many calories your body needs to function. So eating under this is detrimental. Above that, we've got NEAT, which is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So this includes anything that is you like fidgeting or moving around the house, doing jobs around the house, stuff that you're not deliberately trying to burn calories whilst doing, basically. Then you've got TEF, which is thermic effective food, and that's your body using energy to process food. And then the last one right at the top is exercise activity thermogenesis. So that's anything focused. So you going out for a run, going to the gym, going for a swim, going out for a walk, deliberate exercise. As I said, everyone's completely different. So for somebody who's an athlete, their exercise activity thermogenesis is going to take quite a decent chunk out of their percentage a day and increase that amount that's being burnt a day. And what I will say as well is the heavier you are, the higher your BMR is going to be. So the amount of calories that your body needs a day to function is going to be much higher because your body's having to work harder in order to function. And that's why the more weight that we lose, the less calories that we need a day, and that's why we have to adjust them. So very simply, you want to aim between above the BMR and below the total below the total daily energy expenditure in order to hit that nice weight loss. And then obviously anything above that 100% is going to be weight gain. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. Yeah. So basically, that's why you have to work out your BMR, and then you work out what your calorie you need, and then your calorie deficit then drops below what you need it to be. If you know what I mean. After that makes sense. No. So you've got your calorie deficit, which is below what your calorie intake is, and so how do you work out my calorie deficit? I think that's what I'm trying to ask.
Okay. So you can use calculators that are widely available online. Just one Google search of a BMR calculator can bring up multiple different calculators that you can use to work out your BMR. The most typical ones that people tend to go for is the Mifflin-St. Jean or the Harris-Benedict equation. And I will just say, they're great at working out your BMR, don't get me wrong. And from the studies that have been conducted and looking at the different equations and stuff, and then looking at the actual like gold standard way of measuring BMR, there's not many calories like out, if that makes sense. So what I'm trying to say is we can work out your BMR and we can work out what you need to be going for calorie wise. But everyone on this journey will start to understand what the nice little middle ground for their calories should be, because once you've worked out what your calorie deficit needs to be in order to be in this nice little sweet spot above the BMR and below the total daily energy expenditure. Some people might be, you know, at this level, but their metabolism's doing some weird things. And that's why I'll give you the amount that you should go for, but take it not with a pinch of salt, use it as a guideline. And then if it's working for you and you start to see weight loss, brilliant. But then if you don't see the weight loss, then there's probably something going on there. We may need to decrease it, maybe. But yeah.
Yeah, so you work mine out at, I'll try and find the bloody things now. So BMR was, no, my total daily expenditure was 2,937.
That was bare minimum, yeah. That's you sitting at home doing nothing sedentary.
So BMR 2,448.
Mm-hmm.
So the goal, my initial calorie a day goal is 2,600. That seems quite a lot, but like you say, because I'm quite heavy and big, you have to take that into account, and it's something that you have to keep, like you say, adjusting as you go through it. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a lot of calories, but like you said, you have to remind yourself that you're a very tall man as well. And you are on, well, you think you're on the heavier side. So that's why the energy is going to be high. But what a lot of people don't understand is like how important it is to make sure that you're eating enough. And a lot of these fad diets, the reason why they fail is because people will dip below the BMR. So it may be like a stupid amount, like even for yourself, like aiming for 2,000 calories a day wouldn't be enough. So because you're under eating.
What happens if you eat under your BMR then?
Your body, so just to put it simply, with weight loss, if you are doing it safely and you're between the BMR and the total daily energy expenditure, your body is going about its day, living life. Oh, we're eating enough to function, but I just need to dig into a few fat stores here because he's not quite giving me enough, but I've got enough to function, which is great. When you're not eating enough to function, when you're eating underneath your BMR, your body, yes, it is digging into fat stores, but also it's like, right, I need to slow down. I may start digging into muscle stores. I might start digging into like calcium, well, breaking down bones basically. So it's just very detrimental to especially people, you know, who are at a younger stage in life as well. Under eating can significantly increase their chances at an older age of getting things like sarcopenia, which is, you know, losing muscle mass, and osteoporosis and stuff like this, because of these dangerous diets going way underneath what their body needs to function a day.
So you have to make sure you go above your BMR, but not above what your daily expenditure is. So that like you say, it's hitting that sweet spot. So you've got to continually adjust it as you go through. And hopefully when I start the medication, that by all accounts, you have to, so I go from wanting to eat all the time to sort of having to make myself eat all the time because you don't have those cravings. So that's going to be a very interesting thing to chart the progress, because in my whole life, I've never not craved food. So to have suddenly not craving food, it's going to be very strange. So then at that point, I'm going to have to start making better choices. I don't think particularly you lose taste or anything like that. So you still enjoy food, But because I'm having to stick, and I've tried to do calorie deficit before, and I've never 100% stuck to it, because you're finding that I just want to always eat nice stuff all the time. So I'm hoping that'll happen as well, where I don't crave all the nice stuff, which is apparently something else that happens. So that's hopefully pretty good. So the next question is, so within the calories, you obviously have to make sure you eat protein, fats, and carbs. So what's the best way of working out what you should be? What is it? Grams, is it?
Yeah. I like to go, I like to say one step at a time. Go with if you can, like, stick to your calories first and foremost, but with macros, a lot of the emphasis should
So
be.
sorry, a protein, fats, and carbs macros. That's a macro, is it?
They are, yes. So
Right.
macronutrients are proteins, fats, and carbs.
Right.
Protein is the king of satiety. So firstly, you want to be prioritizing protein, because it's everyone who isn't on Mounjaro should be prioritizing protein, because it helps with satiety. That won't be the problem with you, because you're killing that kind of hunger
What do you
hormone.
mean by satiety? What's the word?
Satiety is feeling full.
Right. Okay. So protein makes you feel fuller.
Satiated, yes. So,
Yes.
when you've had a meal and you're a nice amount of fullness, you haven't overeaten, you're just a nice fullness.
Yeah.
You're not hungry, you're not overly full. Satiety is that nice, "Oh, I've eaten, I feel nice."
Yeah.
feeling.
Protein helps you get there.
Satiated. Yeah. So, and then obviously as well, protein is very key for maintaining muscle mass as well.
Yeah.
Anyone who is going through a weight loss journey and also starting to take on exercise as well in order to help their weight loss journey, muscle retention is obviously up there for importance, which is why protein is very important to make sure you're hitting enough in order to maintain that muscle mass and make sure your body's not going for that sort of thing. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that I've read about is that the Mounjaro does definitely help weight loss, but you also lose muscle. You can lose muscle mass. So one of the things I want to start from day one is make sure I'm eating plenty of protein, and then my gym will be mainly. I'm going to do swimming, but my gym work will be mainly weight work. That's where I want to be at, because I want to make sure that my muscle mass hopefully retains where it is, whilst losing fat if I can, if that's even a possibility of doing it. So protein and weight training with the diet, the suppression, hopefully meaning I can manage my food better, and then add into it the weight training and the protein intake. I'm hoping all those things together will lead to not just, I'm not after a huge amount of weight loss in 3 weeks. I'm after a slow weight loss over a few months to get to a point where I want to be. So does that all sound right?
The way that you're going about it is so safe and sensible. And just a side note, in regards to like the studies that you've said that it shows muscle loss during Mounjaro, I'd be really curious to see what kind of protein levels these people were on,
Well,
because
I think this is the issue, is that I think some people, not everybody, are using it as just, great, I don't feel hungry, I'm not going to eat. And
yeah,
great, I can lose a stone in 2 weeks. So brilliant. I'm going on holiday in a month's time. I'm going to use Mounjaro. Not going to feel hungry, so I'm not going to eat. And that's not, for me, what it should be, what it is. I mean, the pharmacist who I'm getting it off, he's adamant that he's been dealing with Mounjaro now for years, and he basically does it for chronic diseases, so diabetes, and he's been, it helps massively with these chronic diseases. But he said it's got to be with a proper diet plan and a proper exercise plan. It's pointless just using it as almost like a vein drug, like I'm just going to drop a stone because I'm not going to eat. So
yeah,
I don't want to get into that problem, if you like.
yeah. makes perfect sense. And like I said, you're going about it so sensibly. But to answer your question, I've just realised I went off on you personally, and then anyone who is trying to achieve weight loss and going down that journey, you want to be aiming for at least 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day.
Full body weight, so whatever my full body weight is.
Body weight, yeah. So you times your full body weight by 1.6, and that can go all the way up to 2.2 grams as well. So you could times it by 2.2 your body weight or 1.6, just anywhere in that vicinity would be beneficial, to make sure that you're retaining muscle.
That's the kilograms.
Yeah, kilograms per kilogram of body weight, yeah, per day. And something that I will say as well, and we've probably discussed this before, but when it comes to protein intake, you want to make sure that you're spacing it out throughout the day, to ensure that your body's taking on and utilizing that protein as much as possible. A lot of people now tend to really overdo it with protein in one go. Like they'll have a huge protein shake that's like 60 grams. And actually, the rate in which our bodies process protein in one go is around 30 grams like per meal, if that makes sense. So anything above that, it might not be like taken on board as well as if you were to
you want to drip feed it into yourself, basically.
You do. And it's again, it's so nuanced. Everyone's so individual. It's so, what's the word? I forgot what the word is, but it's so individual. Everyone's so different. Some people's bodies may be able to process a lot of more protein than others. But if you want to play it safe, go for 30 grams. And then as well as that, another side note, there's now studies that are showing that, actually, you can take a lot of protein in one go. And actually, if you look at your muscle protein synthesis at the end of the day, it's still managed to produce the same rates as if it was spaced out. But then what I would also say along the lines of as well, like what you're putting your organs under, like stress wise, if you are taking on a stupid amount of protein that you can't process all in one go. So that's why I would personally, from my experience and what I'm learning, is try and space it out throughout the day.
So I've just worked it out. So I'm 20 stone and 6 pound, which is 130 kilograms. So I times that by 1.6. Is that right?
Yep.
So 208. So would that be what my protein I should be aiming for on the protein side?
Yeah. Now, and like also just to obviously show you as well.
That seems a lot and very hard to get into your system.
Yes, like you're on like athlete levels of like protein needs.
Is that just because of my size?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But because of the amount of exercise that you're going to be doing, do you know how often you're going to be
hopefully Sorry, what did you say?
Do you know how many days you're going to be aiming for a week?
I want to do minimum 2, so I'm going to do at least 1 swim and 1 gym session, but my idea is to get that up to 3 or 4 if I can.
Okay, so I would personally, what was, when you worked out at 1.6, was that like what you just worked out at?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. What was it, like 200 grams?
208 grams, yeah.
Okay, so that would be then, you could realistically get in like 35 grams of protein in per meal, and then fit a few in around snacks as well. But also, let's just not stress about this too much as well.
Yeah.
Like, as I've said,
that'll come down as I lose weight anyway, won't it?
Yeah.
So it should become more manageable to take on less protein, because I'm going to need less protein. But I think what's the best way to get the protein in? That one of the questions was like supplements, but what I mean by that as well is sort of, you've got these Huel drinks, you've got the protein powders and stuff like that, which are heavy in protein. Would you say that's a good way of getting like a hit in, or would you say the best way is meat, chicken, or whatever it's got protein? It's tuna, whatever else has got protein in it, which I've got to learn about very quickly.
It's completely up to you. All I would say is find your staples when it comes to breakfast. Work out what's going to be best for you. So if you were going to get in a lot of protein in breakfast, I'd probably go more towards the savory route because it's just easier to get in a lot of protein, unless you wanted to do what I do, which is adding a protein powder to my porridge. But yeah, it's completely up to you. Everyone's different, especially with your lack of hunger that's going to be kicking in. It's going to be very difficult, I'm sure, for
Mm,
you to want to get in that much protein. It's probably going to be really difficult for
that's
you.
what I mean, yeah. So
So
protein bars maybe might be a way of trying to,
yeah,
yogurts and stuff like that.
yeah, just like, and the good thing about those things as well is, and just to bear this in mind, anyone who's not doing Monjaro, like you probably gonna wanna be going for the stuff that's like more like more filling, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But for yourself, who's just trying to get that protein in, like
Mm.
go for the stuff that's gonna be processed really quickly. So yogurts, shakes, stuff like that. All I would say is like err on the side of caution when it comes to any pre-made shakes, or even the powders that you get. Like I'd say like 99% of the powders that you get out there, they've put artificial sweeteners in. And a lot of people react to a lot of like sweeteners, so artificial sweeteners, sorry, with IBS-like symptoms. So that's just something to be wary of as well. But you
Are
find,
those high in calories as well? Those like powders and stuff. So can you take? Will you be able to take a hit on your calories as well?
um, it depends which ones you get.
Yeah, I
If
need to
you're
look into that.
Yeah, if you're getting the ones that are, like, on the more expensive side because they're less processed, because they've got less artificial sweeteners in, because they've got actual sugar in rather than, um, artificial sweeteners, then yes, they're gonna be more calorie dense. Um, but it just depends what you're going for, and, like I said,
Yes,
just
I
see
think
what
this is
works for you.
going to be not an issue, but if I do find a high suppression, and everybody's different, apparently, it might take a few weeks to get to that point.
Mhm.
Then I've got to get 2,600 calories in a day and 200 grams of protein in a day when you're not feeling hungry could become difficult, and you're adding in exercise as well. So I've got to try and navigate, I think, my way through the first few weeks and try and work out, like you say, what works best, really. Next question: water, 2 liters a day.
Mhm.
That's obviously very important.
Yeah, I mean, water is great for many
Yeah.
things. Our bodies are like 60 to 70% water. It's needed for like cell function and like temperature regulation and digestion and detoxification, so like urinating and stuff and
Mm.
brain function. So yes, very important. Um, the only reason why they recommend 2 liters is just it's a nice, safe recommendation for like most of the general public. But if you wanted to go more personalized and really focus on your own like individual needs, it's recommended that you do 30 to 40 milliliters of water per kilogram of body weight per day.
I have to get the calculator out again. um, so, what could I eat per day to lose fat and not muscle? Are the foods that help you lose fat?
Again, it's all very, very complicated. So, first and foremost, there isn't foods that make you put on weight. There isn't foods that help you lose weight. There are foods that increase the energy that is needed in order to digest them. There are foods that are highly processed, which means, for example, like they've been refined and like milled down and had stuff added to them that are going to be 100% processed through your body. And then there's some foods that are like so high in fiber and so kind of like natural and whole grain, etc., that sometimes like some people's bodies just quite simply are like, right, I'll use what I need to, and then just excrete. It's like studies have shown that like sometimes calories can be excreted in feces because they're eating such a beautiful diet.
Yeah.
So that being said, if you go for, and this is talking to people who are not doing what you're doing, because I'm trying to speak to you in the mindset of at one point you're going to be coming off this.
Yes.
And hopefully you'll be in this new mindset and in this new routine, and it will just become second nature to you. But before you get there, it's good to get into, as I said, the routine before you do that. So that routine for me, if I'm going to be suggesting foods that are going to help you lose weight, is foods that are as natural as possible. So you've got your whole grains, stuff that's really high in fiber, basically stuff that is as near to the original thing as possible. So that's fruits, vegetables,
Yeah.
and basically because they are taking so long to digest in your digestive tract, your body's having to work harder to burn them. It's going to increase that thermic effect of food. And then, as well as that, for people who aren't on these hormone suppressants, it's just good practice to get in these foods because it's going to mean that you're going to be fuller for longer, and it just makes sense, especially if you're like pairing it with protein as well. So does that make
Stay
sense?
away from processed food, I think, is the
Yeah,
bottom line,
and like,
definitely.
yeah, and like the thing is, sorry, I'm just readjusting. The thing is, a lot of people think, oh, I just need to cut out all the processed foods in order to lose weight. And it's the thing is, like, don't cut things out just because like of your goal of weight loss. As we've said, as long as you're achieving your calories, like that's inevitably what's going to help you lose weight, isn't it? The reason why you do go for these healthier choices is because it's going to again help your satiety. It's going to help your gut microbiome. So the longer things take to get processed, as in fiber wise, it's going to be beneficial to your gut microbiota, and that's the good bacteria in your gut, if you didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't.
And yeah, it just makes sense to go for those foods, because if your problem is getting these hunger pangs a lot throughout the day or having these food cravings and stuff, then it just makes sense to go for stuff that's going to be more satiating, going to take longer to digest because they're the whole foods. Whereas if you're going for the more processed stuff, it's going to go through your system like that. Your body's going to use 100% of the calories, and you're going to be hungry again in an hour. And are you going to
Yeah.
feel great? Probably not. And then
No,
also,
yeah, I agree.
like, when have you ever felt great after like a Mackey's or a Burger King? Like, personally, I just don't go for that anymore because it genuinely makes me feel like really ill afterwards.
Yeah. No, yeah. You get out of eating it, I think, and you start eating, like I say, the better your diet becomes, probably the better you feel anyway, because like you say, if you're eating more fresh stuff and stuff that's, like you say, basically straight out of the ground onto your plate, it's got to be better for you, hasn't it, than stuff that's been through a factory and had all kinds of stuff added to it. And it's something I need to definitely do more of. Right, next question. Should I eat more on workout days or stick to the same deficit?
So the calorie deficit that I've recommended for you, as we've said, is on a day where you're doing absolutely nothing. So you can be sat in the house, maybe doing a few things around the house, whatever, watching TV, doing a bit of the washing up. So the deficit that I've given you is based on that. If you were to go to the gym, obviously you're going to be burning a bit more than that. And it's completely up to you. If you wanted to listen to your fitness watch that's told you that you've burned X amount of calories, then for sure add in those calories because you can, like, you can fit them in, you'll still be in a deficit. And actually it's probably safe for you to do that anyway, because we don't want to be putting too much strain on our bodies. And actually, when I've I've had clients in the past who decide to stay in the same deficit on their workout days and then get confused as to why, like, they feel so weak. And it's like, you are in a deficit, but probably too much of a deficit. Like, yes, you're over your BMR, but you're probably too much of a deficit because your body's having to work so hard
Yeah.
to, like, convert that fat into energy. So yeah, so personally, if I were you, I would eat the calories that you think that you will be burning
Right.
during the workout, just to make sure that you're not putting too much strain on your body. And then, as well as that, when you've got normal hunger cues as well, again, these people might be hungrier when they've worked out.
And like
So
you say, everybody's different anyway, aren't they?
yeah.
And it's something that can be adjusted as we go anyway. So hopefully it'll work. We'll see. Can you improve your metabolism?
Yes. Again, all very complicated.
Yeah.
Um,
It's probably not as easy as yes or no, isn't it?
yeah. So as we've spoken about, if you're eating underneath your BMR, your metabolism's going to dramatically slow down in order to just make up for the losses that you haven't been eating, basically. This is called adaptive thermogenesis. So our bodies are very, very good at adapting to whatever we're putting them through. So I've just my brain's completely gone.
Metabolism.
Metabolism. So that's when you're messing with your metabolism. It's going to go down. In order to get it back up again, number one, you want to make sure you're eating over your BMR. That's like first and foremost, like that most important. And then on top of that, there's nothing, it's negligible. You know, when you hear about these like special things that are going to like improve your metabolism, such as like caffeine and green tea and like things like that, it's like such a negligible amount that you may as well just like eat enough to function, and that'll be it.
Yeah, your
Um,
metabolism is your metabolism, I think.
yeah.
And people obviously say that you have to eat something in the morning to start your metabolism going. Is that true?
Um,
To start your metabolism, you know what I mean? People say you got to
yeah.
eat breakfast because that starts your metabolism going for the day.
I would just say your body's always working. Your
That's what
body's
I
always
mean. Surely it's just
working.
always ticking over, isn't it?
Yeah. All I'd say is like for a woman, studies actually show that it's actually quite detrimental to not eat if you're wanting to go for a workout straight away first thing. It's recommended that you do eat before a workout. However, if you've woken up in the morning, you're not going to work out, and this is for you as well, and males. If you're not going to work out and you're just getting up and going about your day, if you're not hungry, don't eat. The whole point of like getting into a nice, healthy mindset with eating is being able to listen to your hunger cues. And I know it's so frustrating to hear that, because like so many of us, and myself included, I've gone through struggles with my eating in the past as well. It's so frustrating when people are like, you just need to be an intuitive eater, like you just need to like listen to your hunger cues. And it's like, it's not as simple as that. Like, this is years of learned behavior. And some people have just completely lost their hunger cues. So
I have 24 hours a day hunger cues. That's my issue.
and
I
do you
just
know what, that's probably from
constantly
you,
eat.
not a combination of you not eating enough sometimes, and your body's just craving the food, but then
And then
also
overeating.
but like your body, as I've said, adaptive thermogenesis, our bodies learn a certain amount of calories that we're having a day and almost crave it.
Yeah.
And it, like, it gets into this routine, and that's why as well, like, some people get so disheartened when they do start to lose weight and they really struggle to keep it off, because our bodies are so used to being a certain weight for so long that they're like, our bodies are like, right, how can I now like slow the metabolism down in order to like maybe maintain a bit more energy? And what I'd say to people who are struggling and going through a bit of a plateau is just keep going, because your body is going to adapt to this new way of eating. It gets
It's
there.
retraining your body, isn't it? Basically, you're retraining your body and mind, which is exactly what I want to do, and this is what I'm hoping it'll happen. So, right, we'll go on to some questions now. So I'll put this on my Twitter, and I said because I've started this group Fit at 50, and I've got a couple of hundred people in it now, and I said that I was going to talk to you. So I said, "Is any questions?" And I've had a few, so I'll stick them up on screen now. And I'll so Big Lad has sent me 2 questions. Could you ask? Sometimes I'm watching a movie before dinner and I fall asleep. I wake up late around 11 or midnight. Is it best to skip dinner or eat something to get my macros before going to bed?
Great question. And I completely sympathise with you. I'm very good at falling asleep on the sofa, early bird. So, like I said, the main goal is to get to a point where we're listening to our hunger cues, we're listening to our bodies, and we are responding in a healthy way, which is, you're hungry, eat, great. However, if you are falling asleep and you're waking up and you're not hungry, because our bodies do go into kind of like almost a slowed down state when you are asleep, to the point where your hunger just goes when you're asleep. If you're worried that you haven't eaten enough that day, then I would say yes. Like, personally, I would eat. And a lot of people are like, oh, don't eat too close to bed. And yes, it's not great to go to bed on a full stomach, but that's just, I would say, for like digestion, like and the fact it feels uncomfortable, like calories are calories. And yes, our bodies do tend to slow down a bit, but generally, if you are sticking to, the right amount of calories for you, it doesn't really matter what time of the day you eat. So if you
Yeah,
are hungry, eat. If you're not hungry, but you're worried that you haven't eaten enough, eat.
and probably making a sensible choice as well.
Yeah.
Don't eat crap.
So
Try
if
and eat something sensible and light, maybe.
Yeah, for someone, for this gentleman, like, I would suggest aiming for your bigger meals throughout the day, knowing that you're very prone to falling asleep before your dinner, and that way you don't have to make up for.
Not relying on it. Yeah,
Yeah, like, you could easily, for example, if you're going for like 500-600 calories per meal, maybe just increase those calories in the earlier meals and just getting a cute little mini dinner before you
yeah.
go to bed properly. That's
No,
what
that
I'd
makes sense. So this is his second question. My mother-in-law nags me about I'm eating too much fruit, 1 or 2 pieces of fruit for the day, not every day. She says it's natural sugar and it's not good for you, especially when I'm trying to lose fat. Is this true? I feel it isn't, but she keeps on about it.
Mother-in-laws. No, I'm joking. Um, so fruit is wonderful for you, especially if you're eating it in the full form. If you're blending it into a smoothie, not great. You're getting rid of all the fiber. Well, not getting rid, but you're basically doing the digesting before your body's even managed to get its hands on it, if that makes sense. So it's going to go through your body a lot quicker. And as we've said as well, it is not as simple, but it is as simple as calories in versus calories out. So if you're wanting to go for, 3-4 pieces of fruit in the day because that's what you enjoy, please do it. Like, they're so good for you, especially all the berries and those types of like really bright fruits are going to really, really be beneficial. They're antioxidants. They're so good for you. They're not bad sugars at all. So I would say prioritize full forms of fruit, and what's the word? Don't demonize something just because it's got sugar in. Like, sugar's not
Yeah.
the enemy, especially if it's in its full form, and especially if you're going for weight loss. making sure it fits into your calories that day in order to help your body to keep losing weight. That makes sense.
That makes sense to me, definitely. This is like a test question, I think. Ask them, that's you, if carbs and fiber are essential. That answer alone will give you all you need to know about whether to listen to your advice. I've
Love
no
that.
idea what the right answer is here.
So carbs and fiber are okay. Essential. I'd like to know what they mean by essential. Carbs are essential, I would say, because our brains need carbohydrate to function. However, our bodies can generate the energy that it needs from fats and proteins. And that's why people aren't dying when they do the keto diet and go on a stupid low amount of carbs.
Yeah, when they cut that out totally, yeah.
Yeah.
So you
But
can live without them, but it's better
yes,
to have a
but
balanced diet, I suppose. They all say a good balanced diet, isn't it? A bit of everything.
yeah, but I highly, highly suggest carbohydrates because, as I said, our brains need it. And also, like, they're not the enemy. Like, I live off like predominantly carbs. Like, it's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
But that's just because I eat so many vegetables. So yeah, then they're essential if you would like to, I think, feel at your best, I think,
Yeah.
because I
A
think,
balanced diet. That's what
yeah,
it's all about.
it's not
Right.
like, what's the word? It's not like you hear people like living for 10 years on a keto diet. Like it's not doable, and it's because our bodies crave carbs.
Yeah.
And then with fiber, again, I'd like to know what he means by essential because, as you and a lot of people know, there's people who eat like next to no fiber and they're still going on living. However, they're probably going to have a lot of digestive issues. They're what's the word? I'm trying to think of a nice way to put poop.
Poop.
Probably going to be quite difficult um,
Yes.
to go to the toilet on a regular basis. And then these people as well are going to be more prone to, um, without being too dark, cancers that are related to the gastrointestinal tract.
Right. So you
So
need both basically, but not
yeah, yeah,
nothing in huge amounts.
yeah. And then just as well, fiber is absolutely essential and needed in order to maintain a healthy gut microbiome as well. So keeping that bacteria nice and happy, which in turn will help you stay happy.
Sounds good. Tips on controlling the food noise and cravings. It's consuming me my whole life. Now, this is pretty much bang on. I could have wrote this, to be honest, and this is, I'm going to say, the main reason why I am doing back to the start again, why I'm starting this Monjaro, because cravings, food noise, and lack of willpower. That's the three. Add all those three things together, and you have somebody that just has never been able to get on top of weight control.
Yeah.
So, is there any way of, well, I suppose, yes, is there any way of doing it without going down the route I'm on? I know there is, but if you haven't got the willpower, it's very difficult, isn't it? Because if this was easy, everyone would just do it, wouldn't they?
Yeah, and that's why, like I've said throughout this, it's so nuanced. Like there's so many different factors and reasons why people can't lose weight. Like we wouldn't be sitting here discussing this right now if it was as simple as calories in versus calories out. It's not that simple. We've got psychological stuff that people go through, and as we've said, learned behaviors that are lifelong. But in response to this user's question, followers, watcher,
Yes,
listener question.
follower.
I would firstly say to her, I'd want her to work out why she personally thinks that she's having the food noise and the cravings. I know that's such a really difficult question to ask because if we knew the answer, then we wouldn't be asking that, if that makes sense. But there's going to be, for example, in your case, you correct me if I'm wrong, you have been in the past bit of a yo-yo dieter.
100%. Yeah.
So undereating, overeating, undereating, overeating. For people like that, they're they're completely just messing with their metabolism, like, their entire life. And as we've said, it's messing with the hunger cues and the signals, and, like, no wonder these people, like, have such a loud food noise in their head, because it's all they've ever thought about. People who are constantly trying to lose weight their entire lives, like, of course, you like, it's all that's gonna
But
be in their
I also feel people eat for many different reasons.
head.
People eat to get away from problems. People eat because they're down. People eat because they're happy. You know, there's always a good reason to go and have a nice meal, isn't there? Or, you know, I've had a brilliant day, I'm going to have a bar of chocolate. I've had a shit day, I'm going to go and have a bar of chocolate. It's very, very hard. You know, this is why the diet and the weight loss industry is one of the most lucrative in the world, because, you know, if it was easy, you wouldn't need all this stuff, would you? And there isn't one size that fits all, but there definitely seems to be this move now towards these sort of supplements and injections that are going to help people with exactly this issue, you know. And as I said at the start, I'm not advocating anybody do this. I'm not at all. This is a personal choice to anybody that wants to. I'm doing it. I'm going to sort of log it and go along with how I find it. I might find in a week's time it's a disaster and I've got to stop. But you know, at the moment, I'm feeling like it's the right thing to do.
Yeah,
So
can I just
yeah,
quickly add on to the last question, because I feel like I didn't answer her question very
yes,
well.
sorry,
I would like to say to her, in order to help with her food noise, I would prioritize whole foods. I know I've said this before, but what I've said to, like, clients in the past when I was a personal trainer, it's imagine, I know this sounds really stupid, but imagine binge eating whole grain rice, or binge eating beans. It's just, it's kind of like unheard of, isn't it? Because you get full quite quickly, right?
yeah,
So if for and by the way, like, no offense to, like, little disclaimer to people who do have binge eating disorder. I know that it's
yeah,
very complicated, but in regards to people wanting to just sort out their food noise, I would just say, maybe give yourself unlimited ability to eat whatever the heck you want, as much as you want, as long as it's whole foods. So if you're cutting out the cake, the biscuits, the sweets, the stuff that you just keep going for and you can't stop, I'm not saying completely cut them out, but if you do, just give yourself like a month of, like, I'm not eating this for a month, and just see how you feel. And just give yourself, like I said, no food rules when it comes to eating, like, whole foods, because you'll find yourself probably eating to satiety and being able to start tuning into your body. But again, it's all very difficult, and yeah.
yeah. It is such a nuanced thing, like you say. Right, I've kept you long enough, so this is the last one. Question anyway. Is reducing blood sugar levels, cutting out sugar, and reducing refined carbs key to losing body fat and maintaining muscle mass? I've absolutely no idea what any of that means. So I'm hoping you do.
Um, we'll take it one thing at a time. So blood sugar levels. Um, there's been a lot of hype around this recently. A lot of people, very influential people, have been taking to podcasts and social medias and stuff, and basically said, "Oh, you should start tracking your blood sugar. Look how much your blood sugar is spiking because you've eaten this, like, processed food." And what I will say to those people is, "Well, yeah, you've just eaten food. What do you think your blood sugar's going to do? If you don't have diabetes, your body's going to go, oh, we've had some food. Let's work this out and sort out that food and get it processed and get it into those cells and move on with our lives." So that's not a problem. Blood sugar spikes are not an issue. Um, but going on another side note from that, if you were to go for, like, ice cream instead of a whole fruit, then I would probably argue that's gonna spike your blood sugar levels, which again is not a bad thing. Your body can deal with it, it's fine. but it's probably going to make you, it's just not going to make you full. Like,
Yeah.
it's not going to be very satisfying. So yeah, that's what I would say about that. Like, don't be scared of raising your blood sugar. Like, that's fine. They're meant to rise. You've just eaten food. If your body is working, that's fine. Cutting out sugar. Again, sugar is not the enemy. Nobody should cut out sugar. Carbs is sugar. Please keep eating carbs. And then reducing refined carbs. Again, if you are enjoying a white bread, go for it. I would just say, again, is it making you full? Is it satiating? Is it making you satisfied? And is it beneficial to my gut microbiome? Is it being digested slowly to help, again, get all the nutrients that it needs? Probably not. It's going straight through you. So yeah, it's all on preference. And if it works for you, great. However, I would just ask some questions to yourself. Is it making you feel good when you're eating it? And that's the whole, just to conclude all of this, the main thing that we should be focusing on, and the whole goal of like all of this, is being able to somehow get into a nice relationship with food and your
Yeah.
body, being at peace with yourself and knowing, I'm feeling hungry, what am I going to eat? And listening to that and being, I don't know, just happy in your own skin, and like eating something because it makes you feel good, rather than like eating something because it's, I don't know, it's, yeah, the whole goal is to just, you know.
No, I know what you're saying, and I think I have learnt something tonight, 100%, because I think what's important now for me is not just grabbing the easiest thing to eat, which I generally tend to do. I just think I'm hungry. What's the easiest thing I can get my hands on? That generally means going into a takeaway and grabbing something, whether it's Greg's, whether it's McDonald's, whether it's wherever, and just having that food made for me, which is generally processed, and thinking, great, I wanted my lunch. That's my lunch. I wanted my breakfast. I'll have a Mackey's breakfast. And then think that's fine for an hour. And then thinking, what do I want now? And then grabbing something else. What I need to start doing is eating properly. But whenever I put food in front of myself, I need to look at that food and think, what is that food doing for me?
Mm,
What is that plate? What is on that plate that's going to help me be fit, healthy, give me all the nutrients, the macros and the protein and the stuff that I need for that day. Now, that's not going to happen in a day or a week or a month, and that's going to take time. But that's from where I am, which is shocking, to hopefully in 4 months' time, say, I can look at a plate of food and go, great, lovely bit of carbs, lovely bit of protein there, some nice fresh fruit, nice fresh vegetables. That's a good meal. And that's not a Big Mac fries and 6 chicken nuggets, which
mm,
is where I am now, essentially. So it's a long road, and it's, looking ahead, it's going to be very difficult. But I'm 49 on Wednesday, and this whole idea is to get to 50 and be fit at 50. That's the whole thing. So we shall start
mm.
tonight.
I think, like, when people think of diet, they automatically fall into the mindset of fear of being hungry, because that's generally what diet culture has taught us, that the only way you can lose weight is to feel starving, basically.
Yeah.
And I think it's just so important, like what you've said, like being able to look down at your plate and going, this meal is going to keep me going until, lunch, or this meal is going to keep me going until my snack. And by the way, my snack is going to be like a source of fats, proteins, and fiber, because I want that to keep me going till the
Mm.
next meal time. And it's just being mindful about your choices by being educated. Like, the more you learn about your food, the more you learn about the way that your body is processing these foods, the easier it is to understand that what is on your plate is giving you like the fuel that you need. Do you know what I mean?
I think the other issue is, and I think this is what a lot of people are getting feedback is, it's so complicated.
Mm.
You know, there's so much. You know, when I was a kid, you never heard of macros, you never heard of. I'm sure, you know, it was all around, but you know, I'd never heard of someone say protein and this and that and this. You got to have that in your diet, but now everything's so not complicated, but everybody's so into this kind of stuff that if you're not into it and you're not in that sort of area of like diet, exercise and stuff, looking from an outsider in, you think, how the hell do I get to that point? And the answer is it's very hard, but it's not impossible. And it's a journey, and it's something you have to retrain yourself over a long time to get to that point. You know, you decided to go on that journey, you know, and you've done brilliantly going from where you were to where you are now. You know, your knowledge and your fitness and everything is phenomenal. And that's not been an easy journey for you, but, you know, you're an inspiration to me of what you've done. And, you know, the amount of years you've been badgering me to try and sort myself out. And I've always had a joke with you about it.
I would never be like, you need to lose weight. Like, you've come to me and be like,
no, never like that. I've always generally once a year come to you and go, right, Danny, this is the year I'm going to lose all my weight. I'm going to get healthy. How do I do it? And you generally always, with a smile on your face, go, lovely. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to eat. This is what, you know, this is how you need to track your calories. This is what you need to do at the gym. And I go, brilliant, thanks a lot. And then 2 months later, how are you getting on? Yeah, you know, not great.
Don't talk to me.
Yeah, and that's how it's been for years now. And this is why it's got to stop. So hopefully this is it. So,
well, like I said, like, you've got so many people holding you accountable now. And like, the research shows that apparently you need at least 6 people to be holding you accountable in order to, like, 100%, well, not 100%, but more than likely stay on track.
Better chance.
Yeah.
But you're 1, Beck's 2. So I'll just find another couple of people walking around the streets, and hopefully we'll get to 6.
No, like, your whole group. How many people do you have in your group?
A few, yeah. There's quite a few. But I'm going to post this in there. I'm going to post it online. It'll go on the group. It's going to go on. I'll put it on. Definitely put it on Spotify and Apple. Thanks ever so much, Dan. You know, you are a source of much help for me, and hopefully you'll stick around for the next few years and help carry on this journey. And we'll get you back on definitely, and we'll see how we're getting on, and hopefully other people will join in. And I don't know how this is going to go down, but as I said, this is for me to change my life. And if I help one other person, if only one person watches this and they think that's really interesting, I'm going to start eating better, I'm going to go to the gym, that's, you know, then I'm quite happy with that. I'm happy to spend an hour of my life talking to you anyway. But if I spend an hour of my time talking to you and help one person out, then I'm quite happy with that as well. So thanks for joining me, Danny.
That's okay. Thanks for having me. And also, just a side point, like, I know that you're on social media, but use it to your advantage. Like, just a little tip for anyone who's listened to this entire thing and stayed till the very end. Like, if you are on social media, use it to your advantage. Follow these people who are inspirational people who've embarked on their weight loss journey, and going about it the way that you want to go about it, to give yourself the reassurance, like, oh my gosh, they've done it. Oh, I can do it too.
Well said.
Thanks.
Right. That's it for us today. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hopefully you've learned something. I know I have. So I'll speak to you all soon. I was going to say up the villa, because that's what I always say at the end, but up the weight loss. That's what we'll say.